Hi, Sierra. My name is
Hi.
Riley. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you here again. I look forward to diving deeper into this session with you. Before we get started, I do have some things to cover with you, just some legal things really quick. So anything you say here is going to be confidential unless you tell me you intend to kill yourself or someone else, or that you tell me a minor, elderly person, or otherwise an incapacitated person is being harmed, then I will have to report that for their protection and for yours as well. Additionally, if you give me written permission to release information, or if I am ever like in court and it's ordered by the judge, I would have to testify as well. In all these situations, I would only share, of course, what is necessary. These are going to be mostly unlikely, but I do have to disclose them. And then, just as a reminder, I am a graduate level intern in the state of Hawaii, and my supervisor's name is Brendan Wild. If you would like to contact him, he can be reached at brandon.wild@gcu.edu. And then you can contact him at 928-287-1234. And if you have any questions or concerns, just feel free to give him a call or email him. So yeah, thanks for reviewing that information, that important legal information with me really quick. Did you have any questions about the limitations to confidentiality at all?
No, it all sounds pretty clear.
Okay, perfect. Well, how have you been since our session last week? I know that we talked a lot about like the emotions that you were feeling, like mainly anxiety within your relationship. You also mentioned you wanted to have a conversation with him about feeling that your needs haven't been met at all, and that you were afraid to receive what he was like going to be telling you from that. Would you like to continue discussing that situation, or is there something else you'd like to talk about today?
I think I wanted to kind of stick with that same situation just because it is still really fresh.
Mhm.
I'm still feeling pretty anxious and worried, and honestly, kind of afraid to leave my relationship. We've been together for 5 years, and I know that I deserve better, and he's just not prioritizing me anymore, and it makes me feel like I honestly just don't exist.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine how difficult that is for you. Thank you for sharing with me how you feel. You mentioned that you were afraid to leave your relationship, your 5-year relationship. This can be a very difficult thing to do, especially since you guys have been together for so long. You've basically built a life together. Um, so I just want to make sure I understand. So you were afraid to leave your 5-year relationship because you feel like you deserve better, or is there something deeper than that?
I mean, sort of. Yes, I am afraid to leave my current relationship, but I think overall I'm more so just afraid of being alone. I'm
Mhm.
terrified to even think about not being in a relationship because I've been with this person for so long. And like you said, we have built a life together. And I've never really, since I was a teenager, I've just never not been in a relationship. So I can't imagine what it would be like to be fully independent and on my own as I'm in my mid 20s.
Yeah. Well, I just want to tell you that what you are sharing is a totally normal feeling. You are not alone in that at all. You have every right to feel that way. I just want to make sure. So, you feel as though that being alone is an unimaginable thing for you to do, and that it would be out of your norm, basically, since you had mentioned you haven't been single for quite some time, and that you've always been in a relationship. So it sounds like you feel a sense of security or maybe even an attachment to what a relationship has to offer. Correct me if I may be wrong with that as well.
Yeah.
So just being alone or having that uncertainty can be very uneasy and it is quite uncomfortable. To an extent, so I understand that. Was there a specific event or a situation that seemed to trigger these feelings?
I would say that I started feeling this way when I was in middle school. During those years, my parents did get divorced. They
Mhm.
were always arguing, and it seemed like they were just focused on, the destruction of the relationship. And I kind of just felt like I had been pushed to the side and forgotten about. Um, and this was a time when I was, transitioning from middle school to high school. So those are obviously, your formative years. I had a lot of questions and so many weird and different things happening to me. And I
Yeah.
felt like I didn't really have my mom there to comfort me, and I didn't have my dad to guide me and show me how to navigate all these different changes that I was experiencing. Um, this was what I could think of as the most lowest point of my life, and it made me feel really lonely and isolated. And
Mhm.
anytime I get a sense of loneliness, I kind of just feel lost and can't trust my own judgment and rely on myself for comfort and direction. Since I don't have any practice or experience doing this, I've always just relied on other people for validation since I couldn't get that from my parents.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that your parents ended up getting a divorce.
Mhm.
I could see how much discomfort and sorrow that gives you and the effects that it has on you. That must be a very difficult transition for you from middle school to high school, like you had mentioned, not knowing like what's happening emotionally, mentally, or like even physically. It's can be scary like dealing with that alone and not having your mother there to comfort you and not having your father there to guide you. That's just a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts, and a lot of feelings that are happening in the moment. So that's totally understandable. Um, and then with your parents being divorced also, that's the main foundation that had been shattered, and that's something that you had looked up to as a kid, I can imagine. So
Yeah.
I can see where a sense of identity is feeling like lost and confused and especially hurt, maybe even backstabbed. You mentioned that this was the lowest point in your life and that it made you feel very lonely because no one was there to care for you. I can see how this would have been very traumatic and overwhelming as well. As mentioned before, you already seem to be having these feelings of loneliness and anxiety within your relationship. So tying that into your current situation, how often do you experience these feelings?
I would say that it's gotten worse as the relationship has started to have these problems and gotten worse.
Mhm.
Now that I am at this point where I feel like the relationship is going to end, I would say that I feel this way pretty much every day. And it's mostly at night when I'm about to go to bed. My mind's just going and going, and I'm overthinking a lot, and it's affecting my sleep.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, I bet that situation is very hard to overcome. I can understand how difficult it is for you to cope with, especially if you're having a hard time sleeping at night. So you're having these feelings like every day, but mostly at nighttime when you're going to bed. So how long do these emotions last for you when you are going to bed?
Oh, I tend to kind of spiral once I've been thinking about it for such a long time, especially with him not being there anymore. He's always out and never wanting to come home. So these emotions typically last until like, if I try to go to bed at around 9, I'm up until around like 1 or 2 in the morning,
Mhm.
upset and anxious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very difficult to deal with, and staying up that late, and maybe if you have work the next day, that can be very challenging to deal with going into the world the next day. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that you're doing great with recognizing that and seeing that as something that's been affecting you. So
Mhm.
I want to take some time, since we're nearing at the end of our session, to just take some like 3 deep breaths together, and then we can begin to work on challenging and processing these thoughts and emotions together. Okay? Let me know when
Mhm.
you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. So first deep breath, though. Okay, very good. Are you feeling a little more relaxed at all?
Yeah, it helped me kind of clear my head and recenter myself. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. So now I want to help you find a coping statement that you can utilize when you're feeling anxious. One thing that might work for you as well as would to say, I'm okay. The past is not repeating itself. How do you feel about that one?
I like that. I think that that'll help me, understand that I'm in the present and that I'm strong and that things will be okay. Maybe not right now, but eventually.
Well, good. I'm glad this is just a helpful start to do each day with the affirmation, those breathing techniques. I want to encourage you for some homework just to take this with you throughout the week if you're feeling that type of emotion, that anxiety.
Mhm.
Um, just take deep breaths, keep with those affirmations. And before we end the session, was there any other questions that you had today or any concerns?
No, I think that's everything. Today was really helpful. I feel like I got a lot out and was able to process what I'm going through.
Of course. Well, thank you for your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next session.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.